Hi witches! So today, instead of sitting in my chair like a normal person, I am sitting on the floor again because I keep getting backlit by that freaking window because I keep picking the same time to film and wondering why the lighting doesn't change. Also, if you understand this reference, you've been here for too long. I'm just kidding. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about a very important part of any deity work practice, and that is giving your deities offerings. This is actually one of my favorite parts of my craft personally, and I think it's really amazing that it can be really unique to your individual relationship with your deity or deities. So my matron, or some people say patroness, my matron is the Morrigan, and a lot of people ask me, like, what does she like? Like, what kind of offerings? Like, how do I work with her, etc., etc. And yes, there are definitely some like common offerings to give her, specifically red wine, trust me. Like, honestly, if she likes something, like, she will tell me. And I know that's like not a great answer, but if I see something like while I'm out and about, I'll usually get, and this goes for any of my deities, if I see like a plant or something, like, they'll tell me. They're like, hey, I like that, get it please. And I'm like, okay, this is what you want, cool. Or if I see something that I think she'll like, you know, like out and about, or like out on a walk, or like some plants or something, I will bring that home and like put that on my altar as an offering. So that it's really kind of a unique thing. And again, this goes for anybody. So Cernunnos, for Anubis, and for Bast, as well as the Morrigan. Let's say this process is not as like intuitive for you, which is totally fine. A lot of deities are associated with certain items or symbols. So maybe an animal, or the ocean, or the forest. So anything that has to do with that element, or like the theme, like the archetype of their deity. So like, for example, Hestia is very much associated with like the hearth, so like fire or hearth magic, or anything having to do with like cooking or food is like very common way to give offerings to Hestia. If you are working with I don't know, Poseidon, right? I'm using Greek gods for some reason, I'm sorry. If you're working with Poseidon, maybe some seashells or seawater if you can find it. So it's very much that kind of stuff. I feel like those gods who do have like kind of that archetypal like thing that they are the god over, it's easy and fun to like find offerings that relate to that. So yeah, even like, and this goes for any pantheon, right? For Bast, one of my favorite things to give her is like perfume and incense. I also occasionally will ritually burn cannabis for her because that's like one of the herbs that she's associated with. So that is a way that I give offerings to her. For Anubis, I find a bunch of weird trinkets that he seems to like. He really likes keys. I don't know what that is. I think he's like, I kind of see it as him being like the keeper of the keys to the underworld, kind of. He's more of a mummification deity, but like, it's different. But he really likes keys and like weird trinkets. So if I find something creepy, I'm like, he's gonna like this one. And I give it to him because, you know, I want to honor him. If you're not finding something that is like, you know, you're like, this just isn't right, dedicating a piece of art to them could be like a great offering to give a deity. So it doesn't have to be something that you specifically have drawn, of course, because like you don't have to have art skills to be a witch, like, trust me. But if you pick up an art print at a fair, or like something that like like a statue or something, a lot of witches have like statues of deities on their altars. You can put it in your altar space. You can create an altar for that deity specifically that has like imagery related to them. I have an altar that's like partially to Bast and also an ancestor altar, kind of, that I have like a lot of cat imagery and pictures of my cats who have passed on. So using an altar space or a specific altar with imagery that relates to your deities is also a really, really, really good way to honor them and to give them offerings of stuff. So it does not have to be expensive. You do not have to spend a lot of money, even if it's just like, oh, I think this flower would be nice. You know, it's very much something, it's very much like tailored to the individual relationship between you and your deity, if that makes any sense. Food offerings, like I kind of mentioned before, are also another really, really great way to work with your deities, especially during holidays. So giving them like small cakes. Wiccans often have a ceremony of cakes and ale after a ritual. I think amongst themselves, but like also perhaps during, like towards the end of a ritual, between like as an offering to the god and the goddess. If I'm remembering correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong. But giving them like small cakes or like portions of food during ceremonies is also a great form of communion, right? it almost like links you together, especially if you're eating as part of your ritual, which is always fun, right? Everyone likes snacks. So as long as you are doing that, just remember to return the offerings to the earth when you are done. Don't let stuff sit on your altar for too long because it gets really nasty. But yeah, returning them to the earth like the next day, like the next morning. I usually leave stuff on my altar overnight. If you can't do that because you have like a dog or something, that is a-okay. Just dispose of it after your ritual and be safe. But yeah, I think that food offerings are a really great way, especially if they pertain to the holiday that you're celebrating, which I think is like a very common theme amongst pagans, is like cooking tons of food and like really fun foods for holidays. I think that's just very fun anyways. So yeah, share it with your deities and I'm sure they will appreciate it immensely. If neither of those things are your bag, you're like, I don't know, like I just can't. You can dedicate jewelry to your deities. A lot of my jewelry is significant for like other reasons, and I just really like the idea of like having like a piece of jewelry or like something that reminds you of your deities like in your day-to-day life, right? So you can wear it every day, you can look down at it and kind of remember them, like maybe like it's a reminder to send a prayer up to them, etc. It's a good reminder to have, right? Instead of jewelry, I actually have 2 tattoos that are dedicated to my deities. One is for the Morrigan, which is right here, and it is a Celtic knot, like a triquetra, like right in the middle of my chest. And then on the back of my neck, I have a tattoo dedicated to Herne the Hunter, which is like a moon, an arrow, and a set of antlers. I don't know why I did that shape, but I have a set of antlers and it's right here on the back of my neck. I got those and I dedicated part of myself, like part of my body, to my deities as an offering. You do not have to go that far. I'm not asking you to get like body mods for deities. It can be as simple as wearing like a moonstone earring or something, like, or a ring or a necklace or a bracelet, like something like that. You don't change your body like permanently just for witchcraft unless you want to. I had a great experience. It was very meditative. Like tattoos in general are very meditative for me because like it's a not traumatizing, but like it's painful. Like I'm not gonna front. And I think that like I kind of get into that headspace of like just pushing through the pain, and like doing that in honor of my deities was really powerful for me. I also just want to say that I do plan on getting ones for Bast and Anubis. I have an idea of what I want. I'm still just like nailing down the exact idea, so I'm going to be meditating on it a little bit. There's a lot going on in the world anyway, so it's like I'm not really in a huge rush to get any like new tattoos if I don't know exactly what I want. And usually like when I'm set on a tattoo idea and I know, like when I get a tattoo, I know exactly what I want, where it is, and all of that. So I'm not quite there yet with those tattoos, but when I do, I will be making an entire video about getting tattoos for my deities. So hopefully by the end of the year. But yeah, other offerings that you could do that are a little bit more like witchy and cool and can like add a like vibe to your altar are like crystals or candles or other tools that you use during your practice specifically to work with your deities. So a specific athame or a cauldron or a chalice, for example, for tools. But like crystals, you could like, offer them to your deity. Like, Anubis really likes obsidian. I wonder why. Yeah, having a crystal or lighting a candle, and that is kind of like the more common one that I see. I have deity candles instead of statues on my altar, which I will be talking about later. But just lighting a candle for them, even a tea light or maybe a candle that has specific color magic involved, can be a great and like affordable way to work with your deities on a more like daily basis. I tend to get like small chime candles for them during holidays, just as like it just spices things up, and it's easy to place them like in your altar space and like really just make it a physical thing, in my opinion. So okay, so now that you've heard me talking about this for far too long, to give offerings to your deities. This is like another question I get a lot. Like, what is the proper way to do it? Again, I don't really have a super good answer for this because it is up to the individual and I don't know your altar setup, but basically it can be as easy as placing an item in your altar space or your sacred space or whatever, like in case you're in the broom closet or you're not able to have an altar, which I totally understand. And just stating your intent to give or dedicate an item to this god. Like, Morgan, I dedicate this crystal to you. Thank you for being with me. I want you to have this as a token of my appreciation. And I dedicate this item to you and only you, etc. It can be a lot more eloquent than that. I tend to write down actually what I am going to say. But occasionally, I mean, you don't have to do that. I just tend to because I am better like writing things. I like things to sound poetic. So yeah, that's just kind of the easiest way. You can do it in like the more like a more ceremonial manner if you want to. If you want to have a specific dedication ceremony or anything like that, feel free. It is completely up to you, of course. But yeah, hopefully I gave you some ideas for some deity offerings. I would love to hear about like what you guys do, and how you work with your deities and what you have offered them. If you have any specific ones that they were like, oh, I really love this, because you will know, like they will like tell you, and it's very cool to get that validation, I think. So yeah, I hope that helps you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.